Good evening. It's Friday, March 1st, and this is Shemsu-t doing a Master Force Coach's Corner with you. Just wanted to actually just be in your presence for a moment, for a little bit, and have you uh, kind of get a taste of how I'm evolving and what's going on in life and how I'm present to the joy of living, even through all of the challenges that's present. So, um, thank you for those of you who are tuning in or those of you who will listen at another time. I appreciate your generosity of time and energy. It matters. It matters to each of us. So, tonight's subject is the dark side of the soul. And it's not to be confused with the dark night of the soul. Okay, Teresa, let me see what this echo is. I'm not, I don't hear an echo on this side. I have on headphones. Does that clear you up some, Teresa? And these are new headphones. So I'm hoping that works. Teresa, let me know. And so part of the work that we have embarked on is basically inside of us growing ourselves. The gift that we get from that is a new life, new beginnings, a fresh start, and an overstanding of our gifts. So the more we grow, the more gifts we have to give, right? And many of you know exactly what I'm talking about because you have been doing your own work. You've been inside of your own metamorphosis, your own transformation, your own growth and development. And what I want to caution us when we're doing the work of the dark side of the soul, which again is not the dark night of the soul, because when you do the dark night of the soul, that's an awakening process. That's when you begin to shed your own illusions and you begin to look at life and you begin to question everything. And as you question everything, you feel threatened by the lies and the deception that you've lived. And so it causes you to feel uncertain. So you feel this dark night of the soul. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the dark side of the soul, which really is the part that teaches us. It's actually the part that gives us access to the knowledge of our authentic and our true selves. And most of the time, that comes from some type of um, traumatic experience or some type of accident or even what people call near death experiences, where they begin to listen for what is the truth of who I am. So you can find the dark side of your soul anytime, anytime you're willing to step away from the world, step away from the noise, step even away from your traditional way of being and doing things. Sometimes we've gotten so comfortable with the people that we hang out with, where we live, the food we eat, how we dress, what we look like. We get so comfortable there that we don't take on the challenge of becoming more than that and going beyond that and seeing what else there is. We get this resignation, that where I am is fine. As long as I'm giving, as long as I'm teaching, as long as I'm making money, as long as I'm showing up, as long as I'm serving, and all of that is a ego requirement, right? All those things are for the ego. But when you're working on the dark side of your soul, or when you're learning from your dark side of soul, it has nothing to do with any of that. It's more about a refinement. It's the finishing touches, and I don't know. Maybe this shows up after you go through your second Saturn return, right? Um, I think it's before that. I really think that it shows up when we're ready to stop being what the world says we should be and start looking at who we truly are. This is why I love the work that Timothy does with the astrology, and this is why I love that we do use the love cards and the destiny cards in our work. And for those of you who have really delved into it and used it to get to know yourself better, um, it helps. It really helps. But I want you to stop taking who you are for granted. Okay, I want you to expand yourself even from the greatness that you are. Challenge yourself inside of where you are and really begin to look and see, where have I given up on me, on yourself, on who you are, on your gifts? You know, what are you avoiding? Who are the people you're avoiding? Where are you right? You know that you're right and you're not budging. Who are the people that piss you off? you know, like, I can't stand to be around that person. Look at that and see yourself. See yourself in all of that, because it gives us access. And this is, I know that we do a lot of work about the shadow. So the shadow, again, pairs off the ego. This is really what I want us to get to the crux of, is that we came here with information about what it was we wanted to learn, what our soul was questing, what the quest for the soul was. We came here with that. Now, because we came through the birth canal, we forgot about what it was we came for, so we had to remember. But inside of that remembering, or learning, we chose our parents, we chose our environment, we chose our ethnicity, we chose our political stance, we chose all of that. But we chose it because there was something that we had to learn. And then in that learning, the gift that we became was what we were going to give to the world. Okay. And some of us have gotten stuck. We've gotten caught up in, I don't have enough money to do what I need to do, or I don't have enough time, or I'm not this, or I'm not that. And I'm saying to you that everything that you need is on the dark side of your soul. It's the 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 rebirthing of each one of us that's taking place. It's the true depth of who you are. And sometimes you can feel it, because you can feel that little nuance when something isn't right. And we tend to push it away. We avoid it, or we go and do something else, we ignore it. And you know pretty soon we don't pay attention to it at all. We just stay comfortable, we stay where we are, and we quit hearing it, or it quit speaking. I don't know which it does. But I want you to know that we didn't cross each other's paths by accident. And, as cliche as that sounds, I don't take it for granted. I know what you bring to me and my growth and my development, and how that expands in the world. It's huge. Whether you see it or not, it's huge. And it continues to expand. But what I want to make sure of is that we don't become so tired or stagnant or isolated or self righteous that we forget the gift that we came to bring the world, that we don't forget, and that we keep remembering and reminding each other of that on a daily basis. And so doing this these last few years, there's been knocking out my teeth, there's been being homeless, there's been death after death after death. um, it's been so many things that in most people's journey they would be worn out, but for me it has been an opportunity to really connect to who I am and what it is that makes me unique inside of the work, right? But it also quantifies the depth of Master Force, because now with so many people transitioning and going through all these changes, I can really truly offer them some assistance from a place of joy. It's not the end of the world because this happens or that happens. It's like, what is next? Let's create an adventure. What is the next adventure? What is the next thing you want to do? What do you want to create? You get to create. You get to create what that is. And so when you create what it is that you want to do or bring to the world based on those experiences that you've had, the universe opens up and rushes forward and brings to us an abundance of ideas, brings to us people, brings to us activities, and we get to flourish. So, in sometimes that pullback, that silence, that re-nurturing of ourselves, going through a metamorphosis over and over again, is our own self-enrichment. But that's where we get to tap into the dark side of the soul, and we get to see it. I was remembering a conversation the other day, and I don't know, some of you know this story, but when I was in the third grade, 8 years old, I had this amazing teacher. Her name was Miss Bell. I love Miss Bell because she taught us how to sew, how to make buttons, and how to fix zippers. She was a practical teacher. Older woman. Wore a bun on her head. Well, there was also a time when a group of girls, we used to run together. It was about six of us: Joyce and Lily, her sister Lillian, and another Joyce, and myself, and it was someone else. But we all used to go to the movies on Saturday morning. Downtown Chicago, you could go to a 9 a.m. matinee for like $2 or something. So we'd all go to each other's house, pick each other up, and go downtown on Saturdays to the matinee. Well, one time we went to Joyce's house, Joyce and Lillian. We went to their house. They live right down the street from the school, to pick them up. And Joyce's father, I can't even remember what actually happened, but some kind of way we ended up in a room or in a space where he put his hands inside of my panties, right? And you know, I don't know what happened, what I thought of it, but I know it was like, this is something that you shouldn't be doing, you know. And for some reason, the next time I was at school, I told Miss Bell. I told the teacher. And why I would tell the teacher, because I didn't have parents at home. If you guys remember, my mom was either she was in a mental institution or she was sick, and everybody else was pretty busy. So I was pretty much on my own for the most part. So I didn't have someone at home that would listen to me share that. So I told Miss Bell, and I didn't think anything else of it. I did not go back to her house. I do remember that. But then I also remember that most of those girls stopped playing with me, you know, and I thought it was because my mother used to walk down the street naked. She used to do a lot of things that I was teased about. So it was easy for people to not be my friend. So fast forward 20 something years, no, fast forward much longer than that. So at my 20-year high school reunion, 20-year high school reunion, Joyce walks up to me and she said, Rita, I have to tell you something, and I've been wanting to tell you this for a long time. She said, do you remember telling Miss Bell that my stepfather, I didn't know it was her stepfather to that moment, that my stepfather put his hands in your panties? And I said, well, no, I don't remember that, but I probably did tell her because I do remember it happening, right? She said, well, I don't know why she told me. And Joyce is a teacher, so she knew that that teacher should not have told. Joyce was now a teacher, right? 20, 30 years later, right? And she said, I don't know why she told me. She said, but I want you to know that I know it's true. She said, and the reason that I know it's true is because on the night of prom, when I was getting dressed, he came into the room and he grabbed my breast and I had to tussle with him. And, she said, to the point I called my grandmother. My grandmother came and put him out. And, and she said, and come to find out, he had been doing this to the older sister all these years and nobody knew it. So here I am, like I had to be about 38 by then, right? And she's telling me this. And, I said, oh gosh, I have nowhere to put that. I mean, because, I mean, I wasn't hurt. The thing that happened that I recall is that nobody played with me, so I stayed a loner. So these girls, we went through elementary school together, we went through junior high together, and we went through high school together, and they barely spoke to me. And again, I thought it was because of my mother. So she's telling me this, and I kept trying to figure out, okay, this feels like something, right? But there's no place to put it. And so recently, when I was looking at that again, the dark side of the soul said that situation itself was created so that you could learn how to grow without being attached to groups of people, so that you could get work done without needing the accolades of a crowd. That was from the dark side of the soul. No trauma, right? No separation, no breakdown, no recovery needed. It was just an explanation. And then I began to look at some of the other place where something happened and it could be just an explanation that's needed. So we really, really do. And you guys know this. We get to transform our trauma all the time. But unfortunately, we've been taught to remain a victim. We think that that's the fun side, making somebody else responsible for how our life turns out or doesn't turn out. Or that it's better to complain about a situation until it's rectified instead of being the hero in our own life, right? I hope I'm making sense to you, because when I was asked to share this with you, I was like, well, I mean, all the coaches know this, and it's not a knowing, it's a being, so that when things happen, that you don't have to go in a dark space right? Where you literally depress yourself, right? Because you're not listening. When you depress yourself or get depressed, it's because you're unwilling to hear. You're unwilling to accept what's being shared with you from your soul. And a lot of times when we don't listen at the soul level, people show up, situations show up to try to get our attention, you know, always. We're always being guided. We're always being protected. That's that's who we are. That's who we are. And especially for those of us who have been doing this work and continue to make a commitment to the work. There's no reward. This is not a reward system. The greatest reward you will get is the love of who you are, loving yourself. That's the reward. Like you can go through all that and be so, I am so present to love, just so present to love. I do my sister, this was my blood sister. My mom had two of us, my sister Teresa and myself. It was just us. And those of you that know my sister know that my sister gave me hell growing up. My sister, boy, ooh, my sister gave me hell growing up. I mean, to the point that I hated Gemini. She was Gemini, June 2nd, two of spade, friendship card. But I hated Geminis because my sister was my greatest teacher on the path of overcoming adversity. I mean, this girl would lie, steal, cheat. I was blamed for everything, and nobody in the family believed me or trusted me because my sister always blamed me. To the point where I didn't even try to defend myself. I didn't explain myself. I didn't defend. Well, okay, okay, you know. And this made me a highly integrous person. I mean, I don't even like to lie to myself. That's you know what I'm saying? I get it right for me. I don't care about the rest of y'all. I get it right for me. But that's because of that work that my sister did in my childhood, right? So when as we got older and she became more settled in her life, and me, to the family, I'm just all over the world, always have been. But we started to become more friends, right? We became more, I'd be able to accept her for who she was and to love her for who she was. And then when she got ill, I tried to work with her and support her in being whole and complete in that. And sometimes she would listen and sometimes she would not, but it was still okay, right? And at one point, she actually told the doctor that I was poisoning her, you know, and the doctor said, "Well, there's no poison in your system." And they said, "Well, you wouldn't really be able to see it." Right? That's what, no, she told the doctor that. She said, "Well, you wouldn't be able to see it." And the doctor says, "With the test that we've given you, we would be able to see the poison." You know. So at that point, when I would go visit her at her house or whatever, I would just make sure that I made her feel comfortable. But when she actually died, um, I had been spending a great deal of time with her, had no idea she was going to die. I just happened to be in Chicago helping my niece, her daughter, going through some life changes. And so I'm grateful that I followed my heart to be there during those 6 months. And I had just spoken to my sister T that night, the night before, um, and we spoke almost all day about different things. We were trying to find her a senior home because she had to move, and she wanted to buy me some groceries. She ended up buying me and Rute some pistachios and beer and alkaline water. Simple stuff, right? But no idea that the next day that she was going to die. And what actually happened was the daughters were trying to reach her all day and could not reach her. And they called her son, who Boo, my nephew, who's her caregiver, and he said he had left her there at 11 o'clock Friday night, and he had spoken to her at 12:30 and told her he wouldn't be in for the night, but he'd see her in the morning or the next day or whatever. And he didn't actually get back home until the younger daughter called and said, "Listen, it's unusual for mama to be in the house with her curtains closed. I've driven by there twice now, and her curtains are closed." And so when he came home, he went up to the front door, and there was a knife in the door, so he couldn't open it. It was jimmied in, so he couldn't get in. And then he actually had his younger brother on the phone who lived in Iowa. He ran around to the back, and there was a knife in that door, so he couldn't get in. But he said he kept jimmying it, and when he walked in the house, it was pitch black, which was something my sister would never have her house pitch black. And he turned on the light in the kitchen, and on the table was a Bible opened up to the Proverbs. He don't even remember what that was. But then there was also a handwritten note. And then he walked to her room, and she was laid across her bed with her hand across her chest, Wakanda forever. I mean, I don't know what's that. But, we were trying to figure out why she would barricade those doors. And when we were sitting talking, and my nephew said, "Well, Auntie, I've come home a few times and found her passed out on the floor, or, you know, where she'd had a seizure or something." He said, "I would call the ambulance and they would take her to the hospital." He said, "I think she didn't want me to come in here and find her and take her to the hospital anymore. I think she was just done." And I said, "Yeah, I think she was ready and made that choice and decided that." And when we talked to so many people, she had talked to a lot of people that whole week. She had wrote on the furniture, "This is for Tamia, the granddaughter. Don't, give this to Tamia." She had given away a lot of stuff. So, at the funeral, I wasn't upstairs going through the service with everybody. I was downstairs in the repast, getting everything, straightening up everything. People kept coming out. "Why are you down here? Why are you not up here?" I say, "I'm hanging out with my sister. My sister ain't laying in that casket." That's not what she would do. We serve people. And yeah, I'm done with the traditional stuff like that. I really am. It's just not good use of my time. And then the mourning of death is even it's gotten old because people are not dead. I mean, my sister over here at my son's house turning on the TV when we talk. I mean, I spent the night in her bed before I came back to Detroit a few nights, and the kids were like, "Auntie, you can sleep in there. She died in there." I'm like, "Yeah, you all should be more afraid of the living than the dead." It's just, life is continual. The spirit of people is forever and ever and ever. And I want us to just really raise our vibration and our knowing and our knowledge so that we can support people in knowing this, the richness of our life, and that we, stop following the path of the masses that's doing the same old, same old. We've been called to do a different life. It's far more radical than what everybody else is doing. And yeah, people gonna judge, talk about, criticize, whatever, whatever, but it doesn't matter. Our soul will direct us, and everything that we need will be provided. It will be. It always is. It always is. So I wanted to share that with you. And two things just about Master Force Business. Master Force 2020. Master Force 2020. We need to do a conference. Leela and I are headed to Vegas. We relocating. Be out of here. I mean, like 2 days from now, I'm headed there and then gone. So we can do it in Vegas, LA, or Teresa would love for us to come down to Puerto Rico. You call it, but Master Force 2020. Um, Out of all the coaches we have, if we just have, that core group 30, 40, 50, but it's time for us to uh, really invest in one another's energy and support one another and come together and dream and create and 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 even if it's just to support and encourage what you're up to. You don't have to be up to what Master Force is up to. However, this could be the energy that we ignite each other with so that we can go on and present to the world what we're doing. We need to congregate. So just imagine that Master Force 2020, right? The other thing is, I would love for us to do an Ignite Your Soul connection for spring. No, for the what is it? It's the summer solstice, right? For the summer solstice, and I would like that to be on healing in the family. I would like to really talk about for us to have our stories and our work and really talk about what it takes to heal, the forgiveness over and over and over, and the letting go and the dealing with our own issues and not making other people responsible for our pain. And if I feel bad, you cause me to feel bad. I hope you're not doing that still. I really, because that, you know, the work that we do in the evolution of consciousness, go back and look at that document. You should be way past, the things where you're blaming other people for how you feel because of what they say or do to you. Anytime something is showing up, it's always a mirror, it's always a reflection of what's inside of me. I've been around a lot of children lately, and boy, they show me up. I love it though, but oh, I get to see, and it's just amazing because I get to revel in the freshness of that inner girl, that little girl in me that gets to play more now. I get to play more. I don't give a hoot about what people think. That might be something about the second Saturn return as well. So that's part of it. Okay, so um, that's all I have. That's what I wanted to share. Let me check and see if anybody had any questions in here. Okay, so um, there's so many amazing things happening, and you will know about them soon. Many of you who've been close to me and hanging out, you'll participate greatly. I hope everyone will want to, but the world is shifting, and we are part of the shift. And because of the work that we've been committed to, a lot of things will happen because of who we are and who we've been to other people. So I have to tell you, keep your health as a priority. Your health is your wealth. Because when we get ready to hit the ground running, it can't be, oh, my knee hurt. Oh, my feet hurt. None of that. You know, if you have to release weight, that's the other thing. Releasing weight is not a food issue. You do know that, right? Weight is not a food issue. So you got to look at the conversations that you're telling yourself, and you have to look at the conversations that you haven't let go of from your childhood. You have to really begin to have a lot more self acceptance and a lot more love for who you are. And then you may have to change your diet just because of the GMOs that are in your food. The food that they're putting on out there is ridiculous. But your health has to be your priority, because when we get moving, and I'm not just saying when I get moving, but we, all of us, our health has to be already second nature. We don't want to have to question that. Okay. All right. Okay, everybody. If you don't have my cell phone, DM me. I'll get it to you. It's not for public consumption because I am still on sabbatical. Um, my family, um, my family has needed me for a long time, and I'm grateful that in these last few years I've gotten to spend time with them. And my sister has 5 children and 20 grandchildren. So they're now referring to me as Auntie Grandma, as though I didn't already have all that down in the first place. But it's a beautiful thing, and I love it. I really do. And I thank all of you, and thank you for who you are, for your love, for your energy, for your support, your encouragement. Those of you that just really always check in and make sure I'm good, I thank you for that. If you've been around me, you know that I could be a hermit like it ain't nobody's business. And now we know why. The dark side of the soul. I am very comfortable there. All right. So if you have any questions or anything else you want to talk about there, um, just let me know. I'm here for you. I'm here for you. I'm not necessarily here for clients or new this or new that, but I'm here for you. So I love you. Talk soon. Peace.